Yeah, so I mentioned Michelle Obama because she's been in the media quite recently, quite a number of different things. So she didn't attend Trump's inauguration, and there's been lots floating around about their marriage breaking down.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if we don't see it
wasn't
here as much, but in America, they've gone for them pretty hard.
Wow.
But so I was watching her podcast where she talked about the reasons why.
Exactly.
The reasons why
So
what?
you know, the reasons why she didn't attend.
Yeah.
So that's why I've mentioned.
Oh,
That's why
what was the reason?
her into the
Scandalous.
fish bowls.
Yeah, they had an argument before the. No, I'm joking.
What's the
She's like, what? No,
So
I'll leave
she's
it.
got a podcast with her brother Craig, and she interviews Taraji P. Henson.
Yes.
And she speaks about living in her truth. There was conversations about, having boundaries and saying no. And she's just saying the struggles that she's had in terms of being in the White House, being Barack's wife and all that come with it. And she's actually trying now. She blew my mind. She's over 60.
Who is?
Michelle Obama.
Ah, she look goody.
What?
Very
She
good.
goes, yeah, when I'm 60, I'm like, what? She's like, she didn't want to be there. And so she lived in her truth and she didn't go. But she's so used to the backlash that comes with saying no or not showing up as her truth, doing things just because it's kind of the easier thing or it's the expectation to do it.
It must be hard. I saw something somewhere where she spoke about she wears braids now, but she couldn't wear braids when she was in the White House.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Like,
expectations.
she looks
so
I think
different
she
now.
can do. And you've seen her more. And actually, it's really good that she's actually brought the podcast out because it means that the focus isn't always just about her running to be the next president. And it's about who is Michelle. And the podcast gives you a real sense of that. Because
I need to watch it. I haven't watched it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It's really good because she talks a lot about her mental health and her well-being and actually what's important and I can imagine Trump has kind of triggered lots of different things and people will do what they think is the right thing to do and she made the choice actually no, I'm not going to attend, and she didn't.
And one of the things I liked about what she said is that she easily could have gone.
Yeah,
Because
you
she
see
said,
that?
Yeah, because she said, she always makes sure that she has an outfit
ready.
for any occasion.
Stay ready, see it.
But she
I like
said
that.
she made a conscious decision that I don't want to have an outfit.
Yeah.
So then I don't go. And I thought, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do. Like when we don't
that's
want to
what
do something.
I think that's what
Don't
it
have an
is.
outfit.
Yeah.
Don't have your
Just
hair
don't put things
Expectations.
Don't put things in your way that makes it easier for you to do it. That's what she was saying.
To not have to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it would have just been easy for her to be like, well, her team would have got her dress ready for her. She wouldn't have even had to get her dress
because she
ready
would have said
herself.
no and then be like, oh, I've got a dress, I've got this, I can go.
Might as well.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
So that's the message on that. Don't make it easy for yourself. When you've made the decision to not do something,
Stick by it.
yeah.
I had a thought, but it's not. I can't share it.
What?
Listen, I'll give you guys this. I'll tell you guys after. I cannot have this on the www.
You need to drink more of that juice. It's like things are coming out.
It's true. Drink some more.
What do you think gets in the way, though, in terms of people communicating their boundaries? Because actually she broke it down for us in terms of what she did that helped her to say no. What do you think are some of the things that get in the way for people?
Guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people carry guilt around not being, and also your makeup. If you're someone who always says yes, and then to be saying no and to make peace with saying no can be very difficult. It kind of goes against the grain sometimes.
And
unless
people's
you do the work.
expectations of you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's other people have an expectation of you, and you kind of don't want to let that down.
That's
But
true.
because if you think about it in general, forget about Michelle in particular, anyone. Some people all do things that they don't want to have to do. Did you know what I mean? Sometimes you'll be invited somewhere, and that person's been good to the family. Come on, we have to go, or whatever it may be. And you're thinking, but to be honest, I don't really want to. Right now, I want to lie in my bed and watch a movie and eat popcorn or whatever it is. And if we would all be honest with ourselves, and when we don't want to do something, say, actually, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. And that's enough. I don't have to give an explanation. But we feel it's other people's expectations of us, isn't it?
Well, also, it's like how how do you say no, really? Because, all right, in your head, you're like, I don't want to go. And now it's like, how do you communicate, I don't want to go? Because sometimes it's easier to say, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
But actually, how someone else is going to receive that, then you start worrying about how they're going to receive that, how they're going to hear that. And actually, if people understood that sometimes people are going to say no, then it would be easier to say it.
Yeah.
Like if I said to you guys, you're asking me to go somewhere, like, you know what, I'm not feeling it, I would know that you would get it and you would respect that no. But some other people would be like, what do you mean no?
How are you not going? Respond to you.
But do you remember her message is, her message was clear that when you say no, please be prepared for backlash.
Yeah.
So you're right. People can't hear, they're not where you're at. And what is being communicated when someone does say no, because I feel like a lot of people take that personal. It's not about
it's not about you
and where
innit?
you're at and you don't feel like going. They'll be like, well, why don't you want to come to my thing? Like, what have I done?
They'll
to
emotionally
you?
blackmail you into it or make you feel bad if you can't attend. Because that's happened to me before. I've just thought, I'm going to be honest, no, I'm not doing it. And not giving a reason. I've tried it where I've just not given a reason. I said, you know, I'm not feeling that. I'm not gonna. I don't want to
make excuses otherwise, don't you?
Yeah, I don't have to give someone a rationale. The
I'm not
answer's
gonna
no. I just don't want to do it. And the backlash I received from that was like, what?
How dare you?
No. And I thought, but wait there. I'm sorry. The last time I checked, you wasn't paying my bills. You wasn't feeding me. I won't say that other part, but anyway, the whole. Do you know what I mean? And people feel so offended by the word no, and if the word no doesn't offend you, then you're good.
Yeah, it's true.
I think as I've got older, I've got it's felt easier to kind of say to someone, actually, I'm not really feeling this today. I'm not feeling that great, or I'm just not really up for it. Can we rearrange or reschedule for another day? And generally, like 9 out of 10 people seem to kind of accept that. But I think it's about who's in your social circle. Really, I find that's probably a lot easier to say to friends, and it's got easier to say to family. But as you get older, I think people respect it more. I don't know what it feels like. This is where we need Dan, right?
Different perspective.
Yeah.
Tell us what the younger ones think something different.
Yeah.
What would our kids say? Because I know my son will say, you tell me all the time. Because I said to my son the other day, we have a family event, you're coming.
They have no choice.
I had that conversation today.
The question back was, so I don't have a choice. No, you don't. You're coming. Put the date in your diary. This is what's happening.
Well, there you go.
He would have something different to say.
So how would that then?
At least you're being honest.
Okay, so you see what you've just told your son. How would that then work if he came and said to you, actually, Mum,
I don't want to go.
I don't want to go. And
I'd emotionally blackmail him. I'd be like, oh my gosh, you don't want to go. No, I'm joking. I wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I think I've said to him already, I've given him enough notice. This is something that's ahead of time. He can put it in his schedule. And I said, this is what we're doing. And plus, I'm paying for him as well. So my son's one of those ones.
But you know, sometimes it's not always about. In December, you might have been in the right frame of mind and said, that sounds great. In May,
no, but if it comes to the time, if it comes to the time and he has a valid reason of why he's saying he can't,
hold on.
And a valid reason, even if he's saying, do you know what? Honestly, I just don't feel up to it.
You'll accept it.
No, I would have to. What am I going to do? Go and drag him there?
No. Would you really though?
No,
or would you try and do
I'd feel away. Yes, I would feel away. But I would then have to. And you know what? This little boy's probably going to watch this and be like, yeah, you said. But yeah, I know that's double standards.
I feel like there's something about saving face, because obviously Michelle and Barack are that celebrity.
Yeah.
None of us have got that status, but all of us have still got the way that people see us, and something that we're sometimes
living.
Status. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we got that status.
Don Dodders.
I think we're celebrities in our own little mind.
Yes, that's true.
I'm a celebrity. I played our episode on YouTube and my son was like, Mama, you're on TV.
There you go.
Is that what you have to do to make yourself feel good? Put yourself on TV.
I was watching back our episode. I enjoyed them so much that I watched them back. I did.
So you were saying something to me and I interrupted.
I was just saying, isn't there something about...
I don't do it often. I got shads.
Sharon can get away with it.
Okay, so that's where we are. I see.
No shade.
Very much shade. I need my glasses.
I was saying, isn't there something about how people see us or how you show up? So, for example, I know that Michelle and Barack are celebrities, and what I mean by that is obviously they're on that global stage, but they would have had to have that conversation together first
Yeah.
And she would have had to say to him, look,
I'm not
it
gonna
goes
go.
against my values. Because I think that's the big thing here is that we're talking about sometimes not feeling it. And I think it is the same thing because it's communicating your truth. If it's something that is at odds with your values and you're like, nope, I don't have to be in that space anymore because I'm not the first lady. So I choose not to be in that man's space. So I'm not going. And then how people see the fact that he shows up without her. And there's something about how people are trying to save face around the fact is that sometimes people do want to present as a unit or they do want to be seen together. And when you kind of say no, you're disrupting that a little bit. And I feel like people do show up sometimes because they don't want to deal with that stuff.
Because he did look lost. He looked very lost on that day. Because you still normally see them together. And he just, he was on. I mean, I've seen him walk other places on his own, but he just didn't have that swagger on that day. And maybe because the event it was as well, he didn't want to be there.
Didn't. Yeah, I don't think he wanted to be there.
You know,
he couldn't excuse himself in a way that she could. Yeah.
And and also they knew what was to come. You're not walking with any sort of swagger when you know what's to come for the next 4 years, really. But no, I've been listening to her podcast and it's
good,
quite interesting.
I'm pleased to hear you both have listened to it, and we'll share it with you as well.
Yeah, I'll have a listen.
Yeah.
So
all
who's
right.
next?
Let's give it to Sharon. Let's change. Let's move it around the table. There you go.
You didn't shake it well enough.
Me. Do it for myself.
Can I put it back?
No.
Simone Biles.
Yeah, she's a gymnast.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah.
What about her?
That's all it says.
Right, so I'll read out the rest for you. So Simone Biles is 28 years old. And we know that she's won 11 Olympic medals, 30 World Championship medals, which makes her the most decorated gymnast in history.
Wow.
She's obviously regarded as one of the greatest Olympians. She got married in 2023 to an athlete. And there's an article in Essence. She's not sure that she's going to go to the Olympics in 2028. And what she's saying, she wants to spend some time with her husband and travel. So the question is, do you think the true success lies more in external recognition or in internal fulfillment?
Depends on the person, innit?
Read that question again, please.
Do you think that true success lies more in external recognition or in internal fulfillment?
I think
Internal fulfillment.
I think, I remember I did watch the documentary on Simone, just because it was just before the Olympics and she was making a comeback and there was a lot of pressure on her because of her mental health and her well-being. And I think she came back because she had something to prove for herself and she was going to give it everything she could because she recognised actually the last Olympics and what that took from her and actually what she needed to take to recover. She's got nothing else to prove now. She may not, because I thought, she's probably going to go away, focus on married life, have some babies, and that's it. And because actually she did what she wanted to do and she did it really well. Exactly. I mean, the world was on her and the pressure that was on her at the last Olympics. So, for her, I would think, because to actually come out and talk about her mental health in that area of work it was unheard of for her to kind of speak about that. And actually she kind of shone a light on it for other Olympians really in terms of how they can talk about their mental health and their well-being and how important that is and what that can look like when it's deteriorating. So when she then made a comeback and she felt, the documentary, she talked about how good she was feeling and the work she was doing. Oh man, to watch her it was beautiful to watch her. It was absolutely beautiful to watch her because every jump and stride that she did, it was coming from somewhere deep within. Really, it was absolutely. I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
She is.
She's phenomenal.
I guess it's just that unusual thing about she peaked so young.
Yeah.
And she's achieved so much. And a lot of people don't stop until they have to. They go until the wheels fall off in terms of retirement. Imagine.
Yeah.
But what age? The thing is, though, in that particular area of work, gymnastics, you can't you
start
can't
young.
stay for you know and for too long before you know you start getting aches and pains, and you don't recover as quick. So actually,
Injury.
you know, if she might have peaked when she was young, but actually 28, that's probably a good
Amazing.
time to just focus on something
And
else.
you
And
still have a whole life ahead of you,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Nice.
What made you kind of think about?
I guess it was that it just felt different, that she wasn't 30 yet. And I hear what you're saying about like an athlete and like there being an age where it cuts off. But I actually felt like there was something quite empowering about her saying, I'm choosing not to go back. But also how people might react to that as well. Like, oh, why not? Like, people always want more. And when you kind of call it quits and you say, right, that's me, I'm done, and I want to do something else, I think that's valid. Like, she's been married for 2 years, she's still young, she wants to travel. And I think I saw something about her not being able to take her honeymoon straight away.
Yeah.
She had to wait 2 years to take a honeymoon. So actually, I don't think you realise when we sit here, and as you said, it's amazing, breathtaking to watch her, how many hours go in behind the scene to make that possible, how draining, how exhausting, and how little she's probably got for other things in her life if she's giving that much to her every day in her sport and her career.
I think that documentary really
I watched
showed
it too. I watched
it really showed how much it kind of took from her, really. And actually, one of the things that, you know, if you're thinking about the Olympics, 4 years is a long time in an Olympian's life in terms of what their body will be able to do in another 4 years. And I one of the things I thought about was Usain Bolt. And when he kept coming back and he kept coming back, and then how he left.
Yeah, that was sad.
You know, I remember watching, and like we were like, and then he pulled a, and he couldn't do it. But I think he should have. You know, sometimes I think you've got to know when to leave something on a high, because actually, if you have that internal conversation, what else is it you're trying to improve?
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to improve those times that you've knocked world records out of, or actually is sometimes at the right time to leave gracefully?
That's true.
Actually, because actually the one thing that you wouldn't want to see Simone doing is to come back. She's not fully fit, or you know, she's her mind's not geared up in the same way it was just for the last Olympics, and actually she comes out with really low scores. I mean, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want. Yeah. I would just like to know that how she was in the Olympia before, and then how she is now.
Yeah.
That's how I remember her. Really, you saying, "Oh man,
That's just a quick while you're ahead.
yeah."
Yeah, I was just thinking about the hours of the preparation is more than the showtime, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
for
all the
sure.
hours and years and months, days, years, weeks, whatever,
Comes down
of
to
preparation comes down to that 30 seconds or that 1 minute or that, a lot of preparation. That's a lesson in itself, isn't it? It's all about the preparation.
Yes.
It's also listening to yourself, isn't it, and making decisions about what you want.
I'm just gonna record that bit in this, like, it's all about preparation. I love that.
Sounds like a T-shirt and something cheeky coming up.
It's all about preparation. It came from the horses. Like, it just came from.
Why do I keep picking the ones that I actually put in there?
Okay,
So let me change it up. Although my ones are good ones. Oh, gosh, now I picked out some big essay. Okay, so in 2023, a study revealed that 84% of UK employers viewed straight hair as universally professional, while 64% felt the same about natural Afro-centric styles like braids or buns. Despite progress in the workplace, diversity, something as personal as hair is still costing Black professionals opportunities and confidence. So the question is, why is straight hair still seen as more professional than braids or afros in 2025? And what does that say about unconscious biases in the workplace today?
But we've kind of touched on it before, haven't we, when we've talked about hair, and it's so sad, you know, when you kind of hear in 2025 that this is still an issue.
Yeah.
You know, we should be able to wear hair no matter what it looks like. But I don't know why, and I don't know why that is. Is it about more education? You know, what do we need to do as Black professional women to kind of educate
there is
Our employers.
biases though, isn't it? It's just, when we talked about systemic racism in the last episode, it's what society, this is societal, and what society has seen, and the narrative that they've portrayed on natural hair. When you think about, even when you was younger as a child, you'd have a lot of kids with afro hair whose parents were relaxing their hair from their very little, to conform to the narrative of what society says about straight hair. There wasn't a lot of education around black hair or afro hair as there is now. Now there's so much, people feel more liberated. There's so much more ways of understanding how we look after our hair and we treat our hair. But when we think about, kind of back to the question in the workplace, I think people do feel more liberated, but you still have the sense of, and I think we spoke about it in an episode when Dan was here, we was talking about different hair, and you can have a hairstyle, and you can go in to work the next week and have a different hairstyle. And people's like, oh, I had someone say to me, I had some long piece of wig on, and they was like, oh, your hair, oh, it looks so lovely.
They didn't want to touch it.
So how did you do it like that then? And I really thought to myself, don't let me have to tell you 2 words. Like,
Yeah, but why didn't? But that's the bit though, isn't it? Why didn't you educate them?
do you know why?
So it
because
stops
I
that
honestly
narrative.
felt like, are you being
Yes,
effing
they
for
are.
real?
They
Like,
are.
I just really felt, are you
But
being
don't we
effing
need
for
to
real?
educate them?
We do. But in that time, I didn't have the space.
take
I didn't have the
responsibility.
patience for that. I didn't have the patience for that, because you clearly saw me yesterday. You clearly saw me yesterday with my natural hair in a small bun.
Yeah.
You clearly see me today and my hair's down to my backside. Come on, you take a
But
wild
even
guess.
if we just said to them, our hair's versatile. We can do whatever we want to do with it. It can be curly one day. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes just changing the narrative.
But I just feel like our hair makes a statement. So I've said this before. I've gone into the office and I've done a braid out. Oh my goodness. Do you think I could just come in and sit down on my desk and get on my work? Oh my goodness, your hair. Big conversation. Thankfully, nobody tried to touch it. But it's just the whole thing that actually I may not want to have a conversation about my hair.
But I think the difference is there's 2 things there. There's having the conversation about your hair and educating people, but it's when the conversation is needed. It's when your hair, or however you do your hair, impacts on how you progress in an organisation.
Okay,
Yeah, it's completely different.
That's you can't educate someone
not that,
about
no.
that, because
That's
actually
unconscious.
that's their about their bias, and actually that women, or women of color, that they struggle to progress in organizations, but then to know that actually some of that is about because of the hairstyle that you have on the day.
Yeah, it's not even just
You
women,
know,
though. Men too. Even think about people with locks.
Yeah,
Rastas. Or there's people who are professionals. They might be lawyers. They might want to be barristers. Maybe even judges. Who knows? But because of their hair, when you think about even school, how certain schools, I don't know if they still do it now, but I remember back in the day it was very strict. Certain schools would say you have to have your hair cut down to a number 2.
Catholic schools
Or
were
if your hair's not cut down to a number school, that's part of the. How the backside of telling you how you pick his hair for look. Do you know what I mean? So if your child's got braids or cane rows, so what, your child can't go to that school. So you tell me how that cane row is going to impact their learning or their ability to contribute to the class.
But then is it more about skin colour then? As well as not just the hair, isn't
because
it?
the hair is related to skin
that's
colour.
unconscious.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's about naming
Yeah.
it as well, though, isn't it? It's not
It
just
is. It's
about the hair.
Eurocentric. It's basically saying that this is what we find to be palatable. This is that straight hair is closer to ours, and we understand that, and we're tolerant and accepting of that. If you do anything too wild, you're going to create too much attention. That's not what we're looking for, because we're looking for closer to white.
Yeah.
Has anyone, just out of curiosity, so I'm sure everyone here has recruited someone for a job role. Have you ever looked at, has someone's hair ever you've taken it into consideration? Because I've never thought about someone's hair.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, maybe because we're
But
black.
it's about who you are.
Yeah.
And
And I mean, I don't even,
Doesn't
gone
come
are
into
the
play.
days
No way.
like where sometimes people used to have to dress. I mean, maybe certain roles you have to dress a certain way for certain roles, but actually, if you're gonna come in and kick the door in with what comes out of your mouth and you can evidence that, I'm more interested in that. Because if I'm looking at what you're wearing and I'm looking at how your hair is, I'm not focusing on what you're saying, and then I'm gonna recruit you because of the way you look, and then
You can't
can't
do the
do
job.
can't do the job.
Yeah.
And then
But do you know what it comes down to? You make a decision about someone within about 3 seconds of looking at them.
Yeah.
So some of it isn't. The argument then is not what you're saying. A lot of people don't get opportunity based on merit. They get opportunity based on this person looks like they'll fit. here.
Yeah, but it's about Afrocentric hair as well, not looking professional, isn't it? So why is it that it's
Looking
never
too
been?
wild.
Why is it not being seen as professionalism? Why is it that texture hair is seen in society as something negative, and not something positive? Why is it even a thing? Why does it matter?
It's about othering, though. We've been positioned as subordinates, and you have to remember that everything about our identity has been treated as such. So it represents the fact that it marks you down.
I bet
It's
you
just the way the
in black
structure.
countries, I bet it would be interesting to have these discussions with someone who is in a who lives in a country which is predominantly black.
Yeah.
It
would
yeah.
be.
But
wouldn't
you
be
know
an
what?
issue.
But one of the things I've noticed on TikTok is that you're seeing more people talk about actually returning back to countries where the Caribbean or Africa, because actually some of these things that we're talking about, they don't have to experience, they don't have to go through. And actually, some of it is just, you don't realise how much it carries extra weight on your mind and extra pressure and impacts on your mental health. Those little things that you have to walk around every day trying to prove that you can do the job, or that you're, that you're different, that when you go to a country where everybody looks like you, that's a big weight lifted off already.
100%. Even when I was in Cape Verde last year, I went on holiday and I bought different. So I changed my hair. So sometimes I'll have my natural hair out. Sometimes I'll wear a weave, a wig, whatever, braids, whatever it is. And I bought a wig because I thought, I might wear this. But I went with my natural hair, just tied back in a bun. And the whole time I was there, I didn't even put on my wig. I kept my natural hair. Everyone looks like me. So in Cape Verde, you have different shades of black and brown, but everyone had their natural hair with different textures. I actually was in a hotel, and the hotel that I was in, I went to now I've never gone to any holiday and gone to the hairdressers in the hotel. Because normally they can't. I feel like you don't know what the hell to do with my hair. You're not touching my hair. You know what I mean? You're not touching my hair. I never go to the hairdressers in the hotel. But I went and I had a hair treatment, got my hair pressed in the hotel.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah,
But that's how it should
but in the
be,
hotel,
right?
why? Because the people that was doing the hair,
Looked like you,
they had similar texture hair to mine. It looked like everyone was wearing it was so liberating that I didn't even feel like,
Just felt comfortable.
Yeah, I didn't wear my wig, not at all, while I was there. I just had my natural hair out. As I said, went to get a blowout in the hotel salon, which I've never done on a holiday
never
before.
done that.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does make a difference.
I think people, there's a lot of work around anti-racist. People need to check their unconscious bias, really, because actually anyone who's in positions where they are doing interviews or, okay, they're doing this thing now where they're not disclosing
The name.
more details, but actually that also can come with its problems. But if you are in a position where you are interviewing someone, don't look at the hair.
No,
It's true.
No. And it's funny because even
Listen,
on forms,
focus on what's coming out of their mouth, right?
on forms, when any form that I fill out where they ask me what ethnicity I am, I never
don't
put it.
disclose
I never
don't you?
disclose it because I always think, what's the relevance? You're collecting this data. If you're collecting this data to implement some form of change, I can understand. But if you're just collecting it for collecting its sake, then
Yeah,
what's
to
the
say,
point?
we had a portion of, Caribbean or African people
Yeah,
apply for the
apply.
job,
Do you know
but
what I mean?
actually you're
Yeah.
not employing them.
Yeah, so
So,
I don't fill it out.
yeah.
All right, nice.
I like this. Yeah, there's a real difference when you're doing the research versus when you're just coming at it raw.
Yeah.
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 Oh.
Oh, what's we got?
Adolescence.
Oh, okay.
I love that.
Okay, we're talking about this
I
for a
haven't got
while.
enough time. Come on.
I know.
Go on.
Right, so what we know is that there was a Netflix series, and it delved into the complexities of adolescence, addressing themes such as identity, peer pressure, and the influence of social media. Question is, adolescence does a great job of capturing the highs and lows of teenage life. If you could give your teenage self one piece of advice based on what you've seen in the show, what would it be and why?
I loved Adolescence, by the way. Big up to the writers,
Yeah, it's very good.
producers, all of that good stuff. The actors, I think it was really good. Really
Shows you
fruitful.
there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
you can never feel like you know it all, but there is so much happening behind the scenes for our young people and our kids that we don't know about.
When they're in their room.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
On
people
their
who work with young
computer,
people
yeah.
need
So
to
what's-
watch it.
So what's the advice?
If you could give it to your younger self, is that what it is? So if you could give, one thing that I would give to my younger self, which I think I did give to myself, and I actually gave to my son, is have your own mind. I think it's there's so many influences that happen that people have access to, and to have a strong mind and to have your own mind. And like I always said to my son growing up, you see, if you ever was to get in trouble, he's a good kid, he never got in trouble, but if he was to ever get in trouble, I don't want to hear because Tom, Dick or Harry said, or because Tom, Dick or Harry was doing. I want you, it's because I decided I want to do it, so I done it, and talk with your chest. So and actually I can really see the fruitfulness of that now that he's 19, that he's someone that he's not easily swayed. He has his own mind. If you say you want to turn left and he says he wants to turn right, you can't convince him to turn left if he doesn't want to. It's only if he wants to he's going to do it. So I think my younger self will be like the importance of having your own mind. So yes, you can hear information, but learn to decipher through the information and make your own view of things rather than just accepting the narrative that's given to you. Yeah.
That's good. I would say have a balance between find people who are similar to yourself and not feel like you need to find people so that you can fit in, so that you are focusing on having a real balance around play, socializing, have some time on the internet, but actually don't let that be, you know, if you're spending 90% of time on the internet, then check in with yourself. That's not a good place to be. If you've got 50% time with 60% time with family and friends, and maybe 30%, you know, break it down really. Don't spend all of your time, spare time on computers. Spend a lot of your time with your families and friends and doing face-to-face interactions, calling people, having those conversations, because actually those are the things that's going to really carry you through. I think we're so quick to want to be adults and actually to kind of get into that cyberspace that we lose so much when we're not doing the kind of direct interaction with others. So don't be so quick to just spend all your time in cyber world or on the internet. Spend time with family and friends.
In reality.
Go and seek them out if you need to, and find people similar to yourself who want the same.
Nice.
I like that.
Yeah. Davina?
I would say something around identity. I'm trying to think of his name now and I can't remember, but there's something, even though you're so young, that you're still developing in terms of who you are. And there's something about not allowing others to define who that is, because it's okay not to know who you are, but also that somebody else can't communicate to you who you are. Like you should know that more. And I understand that you can feel hurt by somebody labeling you, but actually that power sits with you, and just in terms of like protecting yourself and it being okay for someone to say something difficult to you, something hurtful, but actually, it doesn't define who you are.
Marie?
I think when you read the statement, Davina, I think I felt about communication with your parents, having that deep conversation and being open with them as well, because I think as I was reflecting in terms of maybe my own life, you know, you don't always have that conversation with your parents, or they may not talk to you about, well, what's going on? Maybe more our generation. But I was just thinking more about, just being open, you know, and sharing more. And a bit like what you said, Sharon, you know, like having that quality time with them as well. But I think the communication is what stood out for me.
Being open.
Yeah.
Well, that is a good one to end off episode 8
It's been really good.
It's been really good, hasn't it, guys?
I've really enjoyed
I've enjoyed the fishbowl.
We should kind of mix it up sometimes and just kind of do some more of this.
Yeah, I liked
definitely.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on episode 8 of Laptops and Drinks. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And it's a bye from me, Shads.
Bye from me, Davina.
And bye from me, Anne-Marie.
Bye from me, Sharon.
Bye.